Hi, my name's Glenn, and I'd like to talk to you about fear and overcoming fear. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use personal examples from my life, how I overcame fear and became productive again. It wasn't too long ago, just a couple short years ago, that my life was riddled with fear. I mean, I had a fear of losing my job. I had a fear of losing my house. I had a fear to be in a relationship. I had fears from not having enough money, and it pretty much drove me crazy. And what I did, I want to back up a little bit. I'm going to use spiritual principles when I talk. It's not religion because they're not two of a kind. So what I use as spirituality is how I began to overcome a lot of the fears that I have in my life. And one of the biggest fears, that I have, and a lot of people that I talk with, is the fear of not having enough. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough food, not enough pretty much anything. And that lack, that fear, that lack will continue until you have a willingness to do something different. I mean, it was so bad for me. I got paid bi-weekly from my employer, and it was on a Friday. Then by Tuesday, I would have no more money, so what I would do, I would go get a couple payday loans, and I'd get online and get a payday loan, and I got a vicious cycle of borrowing, trying to get ahead. And well, I'm sure you know the outcome of that. It was disastrous. And to make a long story short out of that, I had ended up filing a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And I don't feel any shame for that because I'm actually paying that money back today. But the way I think about money today is a lot different than the way that I thought about it years ago and even a couple years ago. I realize like money now, there's plenty of it for everybody. The universe says there's plenty of everything. We lack nothing. And I believe that today, and I had to get that down to, pretty much a gut level to begin to practice the principle that there is enough of pretty much everything to go around. And what I did is, when it comes to money, I started thinking about it differently. I realized that money was just a symbol, and it's just numbers on a piece of paper. And I began to realize that, and you may say to yourself, well, yeah, that piece of paper you got to have to live. You got to have, to buy food, this and that. But I think what happened, I believe in spiritual principles. What I was doing was worshiping a god of money, and it was pretty much an evil thing for me. And I did that for a lot of years. I would hoard money, and the more I would hoard it, then I would end up, spending it on something frivolous. It was just a vicious cycle of never having enough. But what I did to overcome that fear was just realize in my heart to let go and let God. My higher power, my spiritual mentor, I call him the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. On one hand, I got an ego, and the other hand, I got the Holy Spirit. And I talk to both daily, And what happens, the ego will tell me, well, you're never going to have enough. But I know better because when I let go and I let God, things started to happen in my life. People that owed me money began paying me back the money. I no longer depended on my employer for my source of income because I had the thought that they controlled everything that I did. How much money I made, what I could buy. And I had to let go of that idea because God is my source, and I can stay employed at my job as long as I want if I choose to. I don't have, to bow down and worship my employer, to get me through the day, to get me through the month. That's God's job, and he's begun to really do a good job at it. And what I do, I think about it differently. It's like, I don't worry about how I'm going to pay the electric bill because I let go, let God. The money's always there. I don't worry about how I'm going to buy food because the money is always there. And I really can't explain, how it works. I just know it works. It's when you let go absolutely and depend on something greater than yourself. And you don't have to call, a power greater than yourself God. You can call it whatever you want or whatever she wants. It can be anything of your understanding as long as it works for you and it's a power greater than you. This principle works, and it works in relationships. It works in any aspect of your life. Like I said, I was so fear-based. I was afraid of never amounting to anything. Because to back up and give you a little bit of history of myself. My parents always told me that I should never been born, that I was worthless, I was never going to amount to anything, and out of that came a lot of anger and resentment. But for many years, I lived my life as if that belief were true. And I know today that it isn't true, because I have amounted to something. I am, a good person, a child of God, and I deserve to be happy. And I'm going to be happy. And it's just like pretty much changing your mindset on how you think about a situation. I use an example a lot of times. Is your glass half full or is it half empty? Well, today I look at it and it's half full, which means, I'm an optimist rather than a pessimist. So I look for good things to happen. And I tell everybody today, in a joking manner, I'm the happiest person that I know. And people laugh at me, but very, very rarely am I ever in a down mood. I mean, I get up in the morning, I thank God for this day, I thank God for my life, for my friends, for my family, I thank God for my job, I thank God for everything. And it's just wonderful when you can look at life and appreciate it, and look at nature and appreciate it, because we get so busy in our everyday lives that we don't smell the roses, I guess. And you need to take time. Well, I shouldn't use that word need. It's nice to take time, to be able to smell the roses, to enjoy what God has given us, and have gratitude for this day and gratitude for what's around us. There's a lot of beauty around us if you look for it. And again, to overcome that fear is to know that no matter what, you will be okay. Think about the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life, and you told yourself, I'm never going to be able to get through this. I'm never going to, and it hurts so bad. I just not going to be able to get through it. Well, what happened? You got through it, didn't you? Yeah. And that's what's happened in my life. I look back on some things I said I would never get through, and I can actually laugh, I got through it. And I got through it a bigger person, because I use my experience as a learning tool. And that's what we base everything on, is our past experiences. So many of us, myself was included, I would look at the past, I would look at the future, and I wouldn't stay in the present. Because all we have right now is the here and now. This is what it is. This is what life's about. Sure, you need to plan for your future, but when we start planning the outcome of the future, that seems to get at least me in trouble when I start planning how the outcome should be. I have more peace and serenity today when I can stay in the moment, live in the moment. There's nothing in my past that I can change right now. I use my past only if it's to help someone else. It's the only time I need to look back in my past. Because what I did is just stuff. I did a lot of terrible things, but that doesn't define who I am. Right now, this moment defines who I am today. And I only got that way by the grace of God, by having God in my life, letting God lead the way for me, and giving my will to God. But the important thing is, when you give your will to God, we tend to want to take it back. We use the yeah buts. Yeah, but if you don't just do it this way, God, God's got a sense of humor. He'll laugh at you, when you start saying stuff like that. So what works is, whether it's for your money, your relationship, whatever, what works is letting go absolutely, letting go and letting God. And fear, what I've been learning the last several months, fear is just an illusion. Okay, our experiences are real, but the fear is an illusion. And Therefore, we have nothing to fear because it's really not real. We perceive it in our mind. We think that the fear is real because because as a result of our experience, we think the fear is real, and if we believe it's real, then we start to live our life as it's real. It's one of the false beliefs that I told you earlier about my childhood, when they said I was no good, I was never going to amount to anything. I believed it, but it wasn't true. But I lived my life as if it were true, and that's the turning point. When you can look at it and know that it's not real, the fear. And it seems real when you're going through it. I know it does. The hurt, the loss, the grief, the lack. It seems real, but it really isn't. In our mind, we create what goes on around us. Okay, so if something bad is going on in your life, you've actually created it. I've created it in my mind that this is a bad situation. And when I consider it bad, the law of attraction tells us, because they can't define what's good or bad, the law of attraction can't, the universe can't. So if I'm dwelling on bad things, what's going to happen? I'm going to get more bad stuff. Now if I turn that around and start thinking positively on good things are going to come my way. Before you know it, in a short time, the fear of lack will be gone. The fear of being alone will be gone. That's another big one. A lot of us, we had that fear of being alone, so we just settle. But I can tell you, you don't have to settle today. And, you can keep moving forward and live a positive, happy life. It's great. Just by changing the way that you think about a situation. And we have that power. Nobody can make you mad. Sure, they can make us believe that, it's their fault that I'm mad, but the bottom line is, I choose to be mad, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I got a saying that says that people can't get me drunk, but they can make me awful thirsty. And, with that in mind is, it's my choice, if I'm going to feed into, the negativity, or if I'm going to look at the positive in a situation. And, with that in mind, your life will start to turn around. My life turned around. I have respect for others today. Others have respect for me. And I'm living a dream life. I really am. No, I'm not rich. I don't have fancy cars. I don't have 3 motorcycles in the garage. What I have is true friends, mainly, mostly a God of my understanding, and that's pretty much it. That's all I need. All my basic needs are met. Again, like I said, I'm the happiest person in the world. And this is all I'm going to talk on the fear for right now. I will be making some more videos down the road that are a continuation of this. And feel free to give me a holler if you want. My email's glennhamilton60@gmail.com. I appreciate hearing from you and what you thought of this video, and anything I can do to help, let me know, and we'll take it from there. So have a blessed day. Thanks.